Felix, I want to begin here with there are two articles in the New York Times from this week, essentially about all of the money that the Democrats are throwing at the problem of clout. And how can they manufacture some clout? A crumb of clout, please. And this is all sort of adjacent to the holy grail of the Democratic Party right now, which is the liberal Joe Rogan. And I guess I want to begin here because I find it fascinating that 4 or 5 years ago, Bernie Sanders ran a campaign that was overwhelmingly popular with young American men. And I don't know, like, was there anything really in his campaign or his profile that gave you the impression that he was specifically trying to appeal to young men?
Besides not being a Democrat. I mean, this entire thing is so fucking stupid because people are just asking the same question in, slightly different ways for the past year now, which is, why are these explicitly not Democrat forms of media? Why isn't there a Democrat version? If somebody asked, oh, why isn't there an event a pro Hillsong Church prestige TV show? People would go, well, you're fucking stupid. That's why. But for some reason, there's people are still trying to crack this one.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I bring this up because it didn't seem to me that Bernie's campaign, he ran as a Democrat and had overwhelming support from young people overall, but young men specifically. I don't think he was doing anything to purposely be I'm running a campaign for young white men and young white men only.
That was the first time.
Yeah. But in 2020, that fact that he appealed to young men and young white men was used as that was the evidence for why he was a dangerous demagogue and ideologue who must be kept away from power, because anything that appeals to young men has to be inherently fascist. So I think it's funny that 40 years later, they're getting ready to spend tens of millions of dollars to be how do we get some young men back in the game here? And I want to begin with this piece is from the New York Times. The headline is, 6 months later, Democrats are still searching for a path forward. And there was this line in it that I thought was amazing. It says, the prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to revert $20 million.
Okay, do you remember, sort of after, both us and Cumtown kind of took off, around post-election, I would say, in 2016, and after the first 18 months after that, we would hear all these stories from just around, all these places that have now either went under or consolidated to just running AI or other aggregated content. If someone had 50,000 followers on Twitter and was an article writer, they would give them $70,000 to start a podcast. And we always thought how does that take $70,000?
$70 is all you need.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they would never get made. And it was always I don't begrudge the people for taking the money. I always figured, because it was always, this is not a comment on the women themselves, but it was always women getting it. And I did always figure it was you're so tiny, I could put you in my pocket guy who had command of capital. But it's, now 20 million?
Well, I mean, 20 million.
20 million to do a thing that can't be done?
I mean, I just think, I find it all so surreal because it was I feel up until a year ago, it was if you were popular among young men, that was a sign that you were evil. And now they're going to spend $20 million to be we need to appeal to young men.
Yeah, I do remember when Rebecca Traister wrote that article about us after the election in 2016, which was it was basically we had that whole episode talking about Hillary and Podesta and Robbie Mook and the Democratic Party, and we were they're freaks, they should die. And Rebecca Traister wrote this article that was I was shocked to hear them say that the black grandmothers that knock on doors and volunteer at voting centers are freaks that should be killed It was
Wasn't there a line in there about like leaving Thanksgiving dinner to go to our jack off goon cave or something like that? Or that was another article. I don't know.
Yeah, there were a lot of articles at the time, but it is. Yeah, no, I mean, Nick pointed this out on Cumtown's post-election special in 2016. I'm doing a lot of relitigating 2016, which I always, say people shouldn't. But I'm not.
Well, I mean, they're spending $20 million to relitigate it again, but they're coming up with the opposite answer.
I don't think. But we don't think there is any way to reform this party.
Yeah, no.
Or that, if they realize their hypocrisy when they hear, if you remember this stuff at all, it's very funny because I remember Nick talking about all those pretty much the stated ethos of the party. Some people would come out and say it during the 2016 election was like, we realized we don't need white men anymore.
Well, turns out they do. And to that end, it says here, the prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online. It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a Strategic Plan, and promises investment to study. I love this sentence so much. And promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. It recommends, this is $20 million, keep in mind, it recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things.
Oh my God.
Because, wait a second, wouldn't that just annoy you if you're a young man and you're playing
I just retweeted someone, computer guy, a good computer guy, believe me. I don't know him, but I can tell he's a good computer guy because he's able to put into computer guy terms the exact stuff I complain about, which is how condescending and intrusive the average user experience is, on Windows machines, but also everything, like your car, an Apple product, whatever, everything is shoved in your face. Have you ever pressed the start menu on your Windows PC? You will get this thing called Top News, which is just here's some news for dum-dums that you might like. And now there are a lot of games now. There are ads, and it's like anything. When I see an ad in something that didn't used to have an ad, I make a mental note that in a post-apocalyptic scenario, I will enslave anyone associated with that corporation.
We need Act Blue microtransactions in all video games.
Yeah, now. What are they gonna? I guess Roblox. The people who play Roblox are 9 years old.
Get them young. Get them young now. Microtransactions. You can use crypto to purchase new skin. You can purchase the big beautiful Bailey skin, where you can be a big giant golden retriever in Fortnite or something like that.
Will there be a Democratic Legends pass in Fortnite? You could get Al Smith. Oh, that's how they could do. They could sort of throw a bone to racist guys and be do a reverse Dinesh D'Souza and be we were actually the guys who were trying to keep segregation going. Well, and then once they're on board, slowly live it up, slowly introduce William Jennings Bryant.
But it says, buying advertisements in video games. Now, when I saw that, I was like, God, what a stupid idea. But then I had a brilliant idea that I'm going to give out for free to the Democrats right now. I think they should just create their own video game. And my idea for a video game is based on the abundance movement. I think the abundance guys need to fund and create a gaming studio to develop an abundance themed video game. And the game would basically be a cross between SimCity or City Skylines, it's a city building game, and a Grand Theft Auto open world game. And basically it's you have a city that you need to run and manage. But in order to make neighborhoods safe for new development, you need to be in the streets stalking and killing elderly people who live in rent-controlled apartments.
That's a great... Oh, my God. Are you familiar with the game Hatred?
No, I don't think so.
So it's a really stupid game that they made in 2015. And it was, it was in the radioactive afterglow, like the nuclear winter of Gamergate. And some guy was like, "Oh yeah, well check this out," and made this. I don't. Some people. A video game critic who I like has said that he thinks he's British, so he said he thinks it's a piss take. Which, if it is a piss take, it's hilarious because it portrays a sort of like if Danzig was fat, that's the hero of the game. A fat Danzig wearing a floor-length leather coat. And it starts with a monologue, and he goes, "My name is not important. I have always hated humanity." You know, like he's like a villain in.
I've always hated scarcity.
Yeah, he's like a villain in Cobra. Yeah. That's how bad he is. Like it's like why
Axe Gang?
Yeah, like why have you compiled all this weaponry?
I love killing pigs, man.
I love murder. I'm bad. I've always hated birthdays. And the more people you kill, like you streak together, the longer your mass. It starts as a mass shooting, and then eventually, if you don't die, if you keep your streak going, you get to the town's nuclear reactor and blow up the town. Like you kill like millions of people. And it was, the developer said, I was making a point, which I don't know what that was because the game apparently wasn't very good. I haven't played it. But it should be, SimCity, but also hatred.
Yeah, like crossing SimCity and like Manhunt or something like that.
Yeah,
where you're stalking and killing like elderly pensioners who live in rent-controlled apartments, and then like you're like you find like a neighborhood of like single story residential units, and you can like plant bombs. You can do like a demolition and just like level a whole city block and bring in the bulldozers, get the new construction going. Let's build things.
Oh my! Okay, how about this? Not important. He had sex before he killed all those people in hatred. Like this would be a part of the hatred franchise. That's how you would get like people who still care about Gamergate, which is 150 million Americans on board.
And they're like GTA, like with every house you demolish, with every new construction project that you start over the graves of poor people or the elderly, like you have a NIMBY rating goes up, and like roving gangs of NIMBY authorities like try to track you down with helicopters and tanks. But
yeah. Your NIMBY rating, that's like your star system, but your YIMBY power meter is like how many hectorings you can take before you stop.
And you can get resupplied with ammo drops from the 0G factories.
Yeah. No, like the longer the rampage goes on, the more like abundance things become real. So like by the end, they're giving you like nanotechnology that they developed in another galaxy with the a solar sail powered abundant starship. Astrolab. And the hero of the game, Not Important Junior, because when did Hatred come out? 2015? That was 32 years ago. So Not Important Junior is 32. He's old enough to be like an Iglesias Substack subscriber. And like what happened to he tried to get circumcised and they cut his dick off. And so he's like, well, no point in my life. And so he's like, well, I might as well. I'm not going to be like my awful dad, Not Important. I am going to be my own man. I'm going to cleanse this city of NIMBYs and horrible rent-seeking old people. Any car, boom, blam, boomo. Student protesters, blammo. All of it. All regulation. I don't know what weapon that is. It's all getting blown up.
It's a paper shredder that's shredding all this regulation.
Yeah. So I think that would be very cool.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. Worst place in the world.
Yeah, NIMBY Destroyer. That's the video game. That's my pitch. And I don't know. I mean, I like it's all this thing like where they're saying like, oh, we're studying the syntax of what creates virality in these communities. It's just like Joe Rogan was a comedian and an MMA commentator for like a decade, like decades before he started a podcast that caught on. Like, virality is not, we've talked about this so many times, like, virality is not something that you can just like reverse engineer by studying what made other things go viral in the past.
Or
like, it's like,
you can, but you make something like Mr. Beast. It's like something that explicitly has no like political valence or anything. It's like content in its purest, most meaningless form. Like, okay, if you want to make something that everyone will watch and like, okay, make a children's movie where also they're like in the 45 minutes in, there's just a 10-minute sequence of homeless guys getting hit by cars. And then the CGI children's movie resumes, no reference to the snuff films you just saw. And then it resumes, and then credits, and then hardcore pornography. And that's it. That's like the judging by, you know, economic trends and what everyone likes. That would be like 200 million people would pay for that. But what idea are you attaching to that?
well, I mean, in the other article from the New York Times, Democrats throw money at problem, countering GOP clout online. You know, like I just wonder, it says here, and so far there are still more ideas than hard committed money. One Democratic operative described compiling a spreadsheet of 26 active projects related to creators, over a dozen of which are new since November. But a few of the efforts have ties to major donors.
They were just born?
Well, I mean, like they just came out of the content chute, the content orifice. Yeah. And it says the first out of the gate has been Chorus, a well-publicized liberal nonprofit group co-founded by the Democratic influencer Brian Tyler Cohen. Now, when I mentioned this, Felix, you said you were familiar with this guy. I am not. Who is Brian Tyler Cohen?
Brian Tyler Cohen is like, he's sort of like they brought the Krasensteins in front of they tested them before a live studio audience. And they were like, okay, well, a lot of people like them, but some people think they're too weird. They don't get why they were spending all that time running a Justin Bieber fan site. You know, all the things that make them fun. They were like, that stuff's too weird. Who can we get that's like taller but has a less impressive body? And he kind of sucks. And that's Brian Tyler Cohen. He's I had one interaction with him, sort of like Adam Gentleman. He posted a Bloomberg ad. You know, you remember those Bloomberg ads that were like, Donald Trump says he's a billionaire, but he only has $900 million. We're going to prove it.
Yeah. Whereas Mike has 30.
Yeah.
$30 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. He posted one of those and he was like, this is awesome. And, you know, it was like January of 2020, February or something. You know, he posted it. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, you're an idiot. I quoted him and he's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm trying to stop Trump, you asshole. You know, something like that.
Good job.
Yeah, you did it.
Well, I mean, sorry, like there was just one more line from the other article where it says, this is after it recommends buying advertisements in video games. It says, above all, we must shift from a moralizing tone. Gee, how's that working out?
Yeah, yeah.
I can think of one area in which
I'm speaking. Is that the next one? I guess it's not moralizing. It's just like annoying and immoral. It's kind of the opposite.
Last year, I like another one of the names of these companies are great. It says, hoping to move away from the current didactic hall monitor style of Democratic politics that turns off younger audiences, and media, which is the name of this company, and media will focus on directly funding influencers and co-producing their content, opening a creator talent agency by starting by inking deals with 4 flagship creators, according to a business plan shared with the Times. And then there's just one more, the name of one of these programs. A program called Double Tap Democracy, meanwhile, is working with 2,000.
Is that founded by Eddie Gallagher?
Yeah, I know, right? What a name. What a name. Is working with 2,000 mostly apolitical creators who generally have smaller followings.
Who do you think the funniest guy we could trick them into funneling money into? Because, like, obviously, this is just they announce something like this every 2 months where they're like, the Democratic Party is trying to fix its problem with, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's always something like this. something where there's like 6 layers of like a talent search and new partnerships and flagships and advertising and whatever the fuck. We always hear about stuff like this, right? Let's pretend that it's not just a money laundering program to get money to West Exec. What guy would we like to get this bounty to?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, do you have anyone in mind?
I was thinking about this, and the guys that we joke about a lot, like the Mikeys or the what?
Oh, Mikey Miles would be so good.
That's a problem. That like if you gave him all that money, like something terrible would happen.
He should be in the Abundance movie. He should star in the Abundance movie.
Do you think he lives in a rent controlled apartment? I don't think he lives in a legal domicile. He lives in underneath the stairs somewhere. It's really scary. Yeah. I think if he got $20 million, he would like hire Blackwater to kidnap, some woman who he saw on the subway 8 years ago. I don't think that's responsible.
That's what young men want, though. That's what they're responsible.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's solved his problems. And like the other guys, I don't know. It's a similar problem, right? It's the same reason why like Branson's idea of Ho Island, like the island for guys like Brian Pumper, where it's like they're too much of a danger to society, but we like observing them. And they have they're like holograms they can interact with. That's why we need that, is because you cannot give these guys $20 million. But
we cracking eggs on all these regulations.
Yeah. The idea of them going, oh no, we spent all the money on Brian Pumper. Why didn't we Google him? It's very funny and almost worth it, but it's not, I think it would be funny to get them to give it to like a downtrodden Favestar guy. Like someone who got run off the site, not for anything truly heinous, but something like ridiculous. I think like
that would be a shift away from the moralizing tone if we like bring back some of our canceled faves.
Yeah.
Canceled Favestar guys.
I don't know, like a reformed Ho Island type, like Demonius may be good. Or
yeah.
The problem, that is the problem with all the crazy guys we like, is if they weren't a danger to society, they wouldn't have caught our eye.
That is true.
Maybe those guys who I've been posting, who post like the fucking like the PSAs for stupids,
right?
For stupids by stupids.
Yeah, I
think those guys would be good.
Well, actually, I did see a comment from someone earlier today on Twitter that I thought was actually a great idea. Then rather than trying to sort of reverse engineer a liberal Joe Rogan, they should invest money in you, Felix, to create like a content mill of cute animal videos on Facebook to sort of ingratiate yourself to Facebook moms who could be open to, more liberal politics if they see like 8 or 9 videos of seals or bilterongs every day. Binturongs, I believe they're called. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the bear cats.
Yeah, bear cats.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty funny if they gave me $20 million. What would we have to do? Just start an LLC? What would we call?
By the way, I love Israel, and I think it's the only democracy in the Middle East. And I think we have to. I think we must support it. We must support Israel. It's the most important thing.
I think that all old people who
I'm so sick of the anti-Semitism on the left. By the way, it's got to stop.
All the old people that live in rent-controlled apartments are like a cancer on this country.
We need to chop the tall trees. And by that, I mean anyone in a rent-controlled apartment.
When I think about an 80-year-old in a rent-controlled apartment, their body, I just close my eyes and I see like a rat or an octopus. An octopus gripping around the economy.